7. It's a play. It is a one-act play called Never Never Nest. It is a play by a modern playwright called Cedric Mount. A few details about the writer is given by the editors at the beginning of this piece. He is a playwright who was born in the year 1932. And I'm sorry, the date of birth is not given here. It says that the playwright was very active between 1932 and 1946. And she has produced a number of plays. But out of a number of plays, this has been quite well known throughout the world. It is a satire, it is also humorous, and it deals with a very relevant theme which is more applicable to the modern period. What is that theme? I'll come to that point later. See, before going into the play, we are supposed to look at the structure. So earlier I described it as a one-act play. So now, what exactly mean by one-act play? Just looking at the history of the one-act play, it goes back to the 19th century in Europe. Before 19th century, a number of playwrights, they attempted plays, but they were all full-length plays. The classic writer, William Shakespeare, wrote a number of plays. To be precise, he wrote about 37 or 38 plays, and they were generally divided into various acts, and the acts were further divided into various scenes. Generally, it is a 5-act play. A full-length play is a 5-act play. However, dramatists in the 19th century, they attempted shorter plays, employing prose, and this practice also continued equally in the 20th century. The focus was on some of the social problems which are prevalent in the society. So hence, the playwrights, instead of employing poetic language, they employed the language used to the common people of, which was used in the contemporary times, the common people. Similarly, the play Cedric Mount that has written, it is also a one-act play. It's a beautiful one-act play because, like all one-act plays, it has limited characters, and equally in this play, there are only 4 important characters: Jack, Jill, his wife, Aunt Jane, and a nurse. There are also references to supporting characters, but they don't appear on the stage. So, like the short story, the short story and novel, they resemble in a way. The novel is more capacious, but whereas the short story is more concentrated. It has limited characters as well as it is highly literary, concentrated literary form, which aims at unity of effect and unity of impression. Similarly, a one-act play also has limited characters. It aims at, it takes up a singular or a single theme or a subject matter, and it aims at unity of effect and unity of impression. Now let us look at the title of the play. It is called The Never Never Nest. It's a very, very simple and a very powerful play, and the title is very, very appropriate. Look at the 2 negatives which are there. Never, never. There are 2 negatives and followed by the expression nest. The word nest suggests something that is cozy, which makes you happy and comfortable, something which provides you stability. However, the first 2 expressions, never, never, they are negatives. It is, in a way, it suggests that this cozy atmosphere that the characters expect to realize in their life, it's not going to happen. The entire play is about their life is unstable, how they cannot realize their dreams. That is the focus of the play. So that is why the title, Never, Never Nest. What is that? Why can't they realize their dream? The play focuses on the theme of life lived on an installment basis. The characters Jack and Jill, who are married, they want to own a home and lead a life that is happy with all the amenities that modern living offers, like refrigerator, furniture, radio, everything they want, whatever is available in the market, they want to own them. However, they have a limited salary. Jill is a homemaker, a housewife, and Jack is her husband, works in a small concern. He gets a salary of only £6 in a week. However, their expenditure is more. Instead of 6, they spend 7. So how do they generate the money? They own everything. They actually, the expression own has to be in quotation marks because they really don't own anything, rather than they have just got it. How did they get it? They got it through installments, buying all those things in installments. It so happens in the play that Aunt Jane visits their residence, and she is surprised to find these two living a luxurious life. They have all the amenities of modern life, and she is surprised with the limited salary, how are they able to get it. So on questioning, she realizes that all the things that they display, they are happy to take her around the house and show her all the things that they have got. And finally she learns that, she learns that they have got it only on installment, by borrowing the money or getting the things on installment basis. She is shocked to hear about the lifestyle, and she finally gives them a gift of £10 and goes away. After she leaves, Jack goes with her, and in the meantime, Jill asks the nurse to take the £10 and give it to Dr. Martin. So Jack, happily after dropping his aunt, comes back home and says that he wanted to clear the loan of the car. But Jill informs him that she has already sent the £10 that she received as a gift from Aunt Jane to Dr. Martin to clear the debts of getting the baby delivered. She says that at least we have cleared the debts and now the baby is ours. So the entire play ends on a note. It appears to be happy, but actually it's very, very ominous note. So this is in brief the play. I have a number of observations which I have written down, which I will be circulating through the camera. A number of other things are equally available on the net. Very comprehensive notes about the play is equally available on the net. If you happen to just go to the Google and say Never Never Nest summary or analysis, there are a number of sites which review the analysis of the play. So what I do is I just read the play and just highlight a few things. It's a beautiful play, and look at the way that it opens. The setting of the play is the launch of Jack and Jill's villa at New Hampstead. The essential furniture consists of a table on which are writing materials and 2 chairs. As the curtain rises, the lodge is empty, but Jack and Jill come immediately followed by Aunt Jane. So look at the direction given by the dramatist. Remember that a play is meant for acting. So in order to stage the play, the dramatist gives a few details about the setting. Setting is the scene or the place of action, the play. Remember that in a short story or in a novel, the setting is described by the writer. But whereas in a play, it has to be recreated with the dramatist on the stage. So we read details such as essential furniture on the table, writing materials, and 2 chairs, etc. All these are indicators of prosperity or whatever Jack and Jill have acquired on an installment basis. So when the curtain goes up, we see all the 3 major characters. They appear on the stage. We see Jill, we also see Jack and their aunt or Jane. It is Jill who opens the conversation. She is taking Aunt Jane round the home and she is introducing her. And this is the lodge. Aunt Jane, charming, such a cozy little room and such pretty furniture. Look at the expression, use of the expression cozy, which can be related to the expression nest. Nest is something which is, it refers to the nest of a bird. And how does a bird build a nest? It takes grass, twigs, leaves, etc. And it takes a long time to build the nest and make it very, very stable. In spite of its attempt to make it stable, it is not always stable. Sometimes it is blown away by the violent winds. Sometimes it is equally attacked by other animals. And sometimes they may have to abandon their home because birds are migratory. They migrate from one place to another place. However, in spite of negative connotation, see the word nest has both positive and negative connotation. If you just look at it from one angle, it means something which is cozy and which makes you happy, etc. But looking at the image of nest from the other angle, it also means it's such as instability because of the reasons that I have already given. Birds are migratory and they may be attacked by other animals, etc. So that means it is not a permanent place for them. The same idea, the house occupied by Jack and Jill, it is temporary because they don't own the home, rather than it is just purchased on an installment basis. So in the beginning, Aunt Jane, using the word cozy, she is under the impression that Jack and Jill, both of them, they own the house. So she is full of admiration. She says, charming, such cozy little room and such pretty furniture, etc. Then Jack says modestly, we like it, handy place to sit in and listen to the radiogram. Now there is a reference to radiogram. See, there is a reference to furniture, there is a reference to radiogram. All these things clearly indicating that Jack and Jill want all the things which are available in the market and they have accumulated it. And he says that we would sometimes, when we want to relax, we would like to go to the lounge and sit there and listen to the radio. Then Aunt Jill, have you got the radiogram as well as a car and a piano? She notices that they also have a piano, they also have a car, and these are some of the other details that we see. Jack, why, of course, Aunt Jane, you simply must have a radio set nowadays. You look at his thinking. He says that you should, in order to be modern and in order to impress the other people, you should have all these things. Otherwise, people think that you are a pauper. That's it. Although these things are not stated directly, rather than they are carried away by all the things which are available in the society. The fashionable people, whatever they want to acquire, they have acquired it. Jim. And it is so nice for me when Jack is away at business, I even make him move it into the kitchen so that I can listen to it while I cook. So Jill also endorses Jack's view. So not only we would like to listen to the radio, but at the same time when Jack goes to the job at the workplace, I sometimes have to move the radio to the kitchen in order to listen to it. Jack, sit down, Aunt Jane. You must be tired and we have shown you everything now. He said, Jill, what do you think of a little nest, Aunt Jane? So Jill asks, see, look at that expression, our little nest, and she questions her impressions about their home. Aunt Jane, I think it's wonderful, my dears. The furniture and the car and the piano and the refrigerator and the radio, what's it? It's wonderful, really wonderful. Jack, and we owe it all to you. See, all these things we were able to accumulate or get it because of the, support that we received from you. Aren't we? Yes, Jack. That's what is worrying me. Jack, worrying you, Aunt Jane? Yes. The check I gave you for your wedding present, it was only £200. Wasn't it? I did put 2,000 by mistake. See, the money that I gave you as a wedding present was only £200. But did I give you by mistake 2,000? Jill, why no, Aunt Jane? What on earth made you think that? Aunt Jane, really? Well, that's all right. But I don't think, but I still don't together. Well, that's all right. But I still don't altogether understand this house. It's very lovely. But it doesn't. It costs a great deal for rent. Jack says, rent? Oh no, we don't pay rent. Aunt Jane, but Jack, if you don't pay rent, you will get turned out into the street, and that would never do. You have Jill and the baby to think of now. You know? Jack, no, Aunt Jane. You misunderstood me. We don't pay rent because the house is ours. Yours? Yes. You just pay £10 and it's yours. Jack, you see, Aunt Jane, we realized how uneconomic it is to go on paying rent year after year, when you can buy and enjoy a home of your own for £10 and a few quarterly payments, of course. Why be Mr. Tenant when you can be Mr. Owner? See, that means why I have to be a tenant when I can be the owner.